Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, the design of Toastmasters, I think, is ingenious. It's got just enough structure that we can grow in our speaking and listening and in our leadership skills. But it's really a self-run organization for the most part. Other than the high levels at Toastmasters headquarters down in Mission Viejo, all the roles are filled by volunteers. People are not paid to do these positions. It's ingenious because in order to be successful at it, you've got to engage, you've got to be motivated and driven, organized, and take on all these skills that we're trying to grow and develop. And there's going to be people at different levels. Some people are going to be more experienced than others, and they can help lead the less experienced people. Now, the success of Toastmasters is really driven by how successful we can be in teams. Even though we learn and grow as individuals, in order to be effective, we have to work as a team, both even starting at the club level and on up. So let's look at the roles and responsibilities we have in our club. Now, you should have a paper in front of you that lists the assigned meeting roles. On the back is the club officers' meeting roles. We're going to forgo that today just because we're a little short on time. So I'm going to focus on our meeting roles. Now, if we look at the primary role of the Toastmaster, okay, the Toastmaster to me is like the glue for the club meeting. They hold everything together. They make sure that all the roles are filled. They look at that and they introduce the speakers. They introduce all of the roles, but they have an especially important role in introducing our speakers. Now, is there anything? Does anybody have anything else to add about the Toastmaster role? It's such an important role. I might not solicit feedback on all of these, but anyone? What's important about the Toastmaster role?
I would say, and again, not here this week, but typically the Toastmaster role starts, I'd say, at least a week prior or several days prior. It's good to let people know what's coming up and just to kind of give them, a little seed of information so they know we have a meeting and if they have a role in the meeting. So I think the Toastmaster role actually begins days prior to the meeting.
And it makes a difference, right, in how well a meeting can go. I mean, we can get good at impromptu skills and kind of pulling things together, and that's a skill in itself, and that is something. But how well you can produce a meeting depends on how well you can organize all the parts together ahead of time. And this just carries through, into other areas of your life. I use these skills for all kinds of meetings. We have another role called the table topic master. Now, this is an important role because for every meeting you have the speaker roles, evaluators, all these defined roles, but we usually have more people in the meeting than you actually have roles assigned. So what Table Topics does is it allows people to participate that don't have an assigned role and to practice their impromptu speaking skills. I mean, the ability to deliver a message in 1 to 2 minutes effectively, I think, is a really good skill to have because that's how you're going to get people's attention. If you ramble on, you don't have a prepared speech, but you ramble on for 10 minutes, you're probably not going to hold people's attention or make the point that you wanted to make. So to be able to deliver it in 1 to 2 minutes crisply is a great skill to have. Not easy, but it's a valuable thing. And the topic master, too, can offer the guests an opportunity to participate as well. And they should make sure that the guest has that opportunity if they're willing to. Now the speakers, to me, that's the meat and potatoes of the Toastmaster meeting, the speakers, because it's a prepared speech. There's a lot of effort that goes into preparing for it and practicing it. And then the delivery, we all benefit from what works and what doesn't work in a speech. We get to see what's effective, and we get to see from the evaluation what somebody else thinks points out what's good or bad about the speech, or what worked or what didn't work, not good or bad necessarily. The general evaluator, that role, they're the ones that coordinate the evaluation roles. They have introduced the evaluators. They provide, they call for the reports, for the timers report and the grammarians report. And they also give a general evaluation of the meeting. Their role is not to evaluate the speakers. That's what the evaluators are for. The general evaluator can talk about overall, how did the meeting go? How are things working? And give feedback to the club as a whole in that way. Now, the speech evaluators, of course, they give the direct evaluation to the speakers. They fill out a form from the manuals with prescribed questions and evaluation criteria. And they also provide an oral delivery of that evaluation. And to me, this is one of the lesser triumphed roles in Toastmasters, because the ability to provide somebody effective feedback that's going to make a difference for them is not an easy thing to do, because as soon as you're criticizing someone, they're on the defensive, right? And their ears shut down. They're thinking about what they want to say back to you about how it's not so, or you've got a problem, that type of thing. So if you can deliver it well in a way that is received and practice it here in Toastmasters, that's a valuable skill to have. The timer, we have a timer in Toastmasters to keep us honest in a way, but to also just let us get a sense of our time, make sure that we can make our point in the time that we think we can do it. And then, table topics, that's especially important, but in all of our roles, we need, where there's a prescribed, excuse me, a prescribed time, we need the feedback. And after a while of practice of this, you get a sense of the cadence, and you know what about 1 to 2 minutes is, which again, if you're in a meeting and you're providing feedback and you want to make your point before people start tuning out, well, you have a sense of that from your practice in Toastmasters. Now, the grammarian and the odd counter, this is a role that is, I think, largely underdeveloped in Toastmasters, because the easy part is to keep track of all the ahs and the ums. And we want to do that because we're not aware of those when we're talking, so we need somebody to tell us, you use a lot of this word, you use a lot of that word. So we keep hearing that, and we become aware of it, conscious of it, then we don't use it as much. But it's really about how you providing feedback on effective use of language and polished skills, part of which is getting rid of the pauses and the fillers that we tend to use. But also, it could be things like, did you use a rhetorical device especially well? Are they using colorful language? Are they using visual imagery in their language? Do they have good word choices? And is their grammar proper? That one's a little harder, because then you have to know the grammar rules, which, most of us we don't know them, unless probably our foreign-born, English as second language Toastmasters probably know the grammar better than we do. But if to the degree that you can give effective feedback there, I think it makes a difference. And I think we can expand that role. I'd like to see us expand that role. We also provide a position that we call either the joke master or the inspirationalist that we'll occasionally have. And this is really an opportunity, as a joke master, delivering humor takes practice. You got to get the right timing and rhythm and the right material that's right for your audience, because you can really bomb, right? But this is a great place to bomb because it's a safe environment, and you're only going to get good at this by practicing. So it's better to practice here than to practice like in your real meetings and professional meetings and places like that, in my opinion. Inspirationalist is another role that needs practice, delivering that, because, and I think we tend to think of inspiration delivery in a certain way, as Dr. Martin Luther King might deliver it, or it's a certain way of doing it. But I've heard in this club people give inspirational pieces that didn't fit that, and they're still inspiring. So I think we have to find our own voice in how we deliver inspiration, because we all have something to say in that regard. But it's going to take some practice in finding your own niche there. So I think that's a good role to have for this club. Now, it looks like we still have some time, so I want to actually get some feedback on what do you think our club does well in these roles, and where do you think we could offer some improvement? I've given some opinions that I have, but who has something that they think that we do exceptionally well?
Have a good structure to it's kind of backbone of everything, have time for everything. It's got a plan, lot of things in advance. It's just matter how good we exercise each part of this is very difficult. But in general, everything is logical, and the different time of the overthink, this kind of
structure would you have?
It generally works, doesn't it?
Generally works.
Yeah, generally we get value out of our
What you
meetings.
can improve, you can improve on speeches, you can improve and the relation itself, you can improve on the basic vehicle structure. On structure, it's
Tracy, you had something?
I would just say that members bring themselves to the meeting in the sense that they share their experiences, and I think that creates the warm environment that gets more of that sharing oneself.
Kind of opens up the space for everyone else when we share ourselves in market.
Real quick, I think specifically for our club, I feel people here have good intention. And in the back of my mind, I always wonder what someone's intentions were today. And I feel people have good intentions and they want to help others grow in their speaking or in whatever it is you're here to do. So I feel that here when I come.
Yeah, it's almost like that's a prerequisite for showing up, isn't it? It's like you don't get here unless you have some intention of growing and developing and working with others in that. So, but you know, our club, I've said this before, and I think it's really a laboratory here where we have room to play and experiment with all of these different things, and it's just like it's a safe environment. You get the feedback you need. You get to see what works and what doesn't work. And you know, if you take the morality out of all that, and you know, we can go there sometimes with it, like, oh, I wasn't prepared, I'm awful, you know, I'm bad. I should probably stop going to Toastmasters. No, I mean you're here to do that. You're here to grow and develop and to find out what's not working and not, you know, you could choose to leave if that's really where you want to go. But I think, you know, it's just kick it up a little bit in that area that you're not so strong in. Because to me, just by participating in Toastmasters, we develop our skills at organization. You know, we develop our skills at our ability to impact people with our self-expression, make a difference in people's lives. And we really establish our effectiveness and up our level of effectiveness operating in teams. And that's where a lot of the work of the world gets done, is in teams, and your ability to be an effective team. And I'll just leave you with a quote from Henry Ford. Coming together is a beginning, keeping together is progress, but working together is success. Mr. Toastmaster.
Good.
We can take a minute or so and give Alan some comments on his talk.